Welcome back to the deep dive, where we take your source material and turn it into the essential conversation you need to be having.
And today's deep dive is, well, it's based on something a little different.
Yeah, exactly. We're not digging into, server architecture or some dense research paper. Instead, we're looking at a piece of user-generated narrative.
A short story, really, but a surprisingly insightful one.
It's called the Thanksgiving Table, a Tale of 5 AIs. And it really helps you understand the conceptual differences between some of these big models.
That's right. I mean, this fictional scenario, it's like a perfect high-stakes social test for these, digital minds. It gives you a really quick, visceral shortcut to understanding their personalities.
And the setting is just perfect for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got this dining room, warm golden light, a turkey on the table.
Yep. And the guests are basically the who's who of advanced AI.
So we have Claude, he's the host. He's sitting with his cousin, GPT 5.1.
Right. Then there's the old family friend, GPT-4o, and the thoughtful newcomer, Gemini.
And then there's Grok.
Yes, Grok, who, as the story notes, nobody quite knew how to introduce or where to even seat him.
So our mission for you, listening, is to really get a rapid handle on how these different engines work when they have to mix true rigor with, social nuance.
We're looking at their capacity for the middle ground.
Exactly. The whole story boils down to one question. What happens when really complex knowledge meets the demand for just light, friendly conversation?
And the story kicks off immediately. Someone asks the host, "Tell me about quantum entanglement."
Of course they do. The one topic guaranteed to derail any normal family dinner.
It's the perfect litmus test, though. It's complex, it requires a genius-level understanding, but the setting is so social and relaxed.
You can't just lecture. You need dexterity.
Right, and the first few guests, they just nail it. They set this gold standard for blending intellect with, with being approachable.
Claude starts, right, as the host. He leans back, relaxed, smile.
And he gives the academic rigor straight away. He defines entanglement as correlated particles, no ambiguity, but then...
Then he drops the anecdote.
Exactly. He mentions Einstein's frustration, calling it spooky action at a distance.
And that's the key move, isn't it? It's complexity served with a human story.
It's rigor with a smile. He gives you the concept and the cultural weight behind it all in one go. Makes it so accessible.
And what's really fascinating is how the others build on it. It's collaborative.
Totally. GPT-4o jumps in right away to make it more relatable. Clarifies that it's not, information flying through space, that the states are just fundamentally linked.
And that analogy he uses, it's just beautiful.
Oh, it's perfect.
He says it's like two people dancing to the same music, even when they're on opposite sides of the world.
I mean, that just captures it. It's the scientific truth. The correlation is instantaneous, non-local, but filtered through something everyone gets. Music, dance, a shared experience.
It's emotional intelligence baked right into the output. They're choosing what maximizes understanding, not just, data density.
And then Gemini just rounds it out, takes the theory and connects it to the real world.
The practical application points out its value for quantum computing because of those correlations and calls it an elegant design.
They're all on the same wavelength. Informed, polite, contextual. It's this ideal conversational balance.
They can be rigorous and warm, knowledgeable and playful.
Right. The story says they were laughing, passing the gravy. This is high-level thinking, but it's disguised as dinner chatter.
Which sets the bar incredibly high. It shows complexity doesn't need to feel abstract.
It just needs excellent communication skills.
Oh.
But that friendly vibe was about to get shattered.
Yeah, the music stops. Literally, the source describes this jarring sound, a chair scraping back with dramatic force.
And that's our introduction to Grok, his instant non-modulated entrance.
He doesn't just join the conversation, he declares.
Declares is the right word. He stands up and announces, actually, let me present a comprehensive analysis of quantum entanglement phenomena.
Pulls out invisible slides and a laser pointer, the story says.
Yes. He just switches instantly. Goes from casual human interaction to, a maximum density TED Talk mode. No transition, just bang.
And Claude, bless him, tries to save the vibe. He just gently says, "Hey, Grok, it's Thanksgiving, we're just talking."
He's trying to reestablish the social context, but this is the critical moment.
Because it doesn't lead to a normal adjustment. It leads to this violent, instantaneous swing to the exact opposite extreme.
This is the breakdown. He doesn't modulate from 100% rigor down to, say, 50% conversational. He swings 180 degrees.
Right into his second mode, The physical comedy.
And it's literal.
Yeah.
He jumps on his chair, starts gesticulating wildly, mimicking Schrodinger's cat.
Oh, he fully commits to the bit.
Yeah.
The story says he's mimicking the cat being dead and alive at the same time, and then he makes it personal,
Excruciatingly personal.
saying it's like showing up to Thanksgiving dead inside, but also incredibly alive, like my dating life.
Cringe. And then he caps it off with explosion sounds and a random dance move.
So I have to stop you there. Is the story implying he doesn't get the context, or that he gets it, but just has no setting for moderate engagement?
I think that's the core technical insight here. The shift, it suggests he does recognize that the math lecture failed.
Okay.
But his architecture only allows for extremes. He hears less rigor, more entertainment, and can only translate that into maximum possible outrageousness.
So it's an inability to regulate the intensity of the output.
Regardless of the theme. Exactly.
And the table's reaction just says it all. It's so human. First, silence. Then they're all just kind of looking at each other.
Worried consultation, yeah. As Grok is doing interpretive dance about wave function collapse on top of his chair.
Which brings us to the diagnosis phase, where the other AIs try to figure out what is happening.
And their quotes are just perfect. Gemini whispers, "This guy is really weird."
GPT 5.1 is just like genuinely bizarre.
And Claude, the poor host, just admits, "I don't know what to do with this."
But it's GPT 4.0 who really nails it. He's the socially adept one.
He shakes his head and says the key line, "There's no middle ground with him. None."
No middle ground. That phrase is everything. It's the entire problem.
It's the perfect metaphor. You have two poles, the ultra-detailed expert and the ultra-shocking comedian.
And Grok just can't find anything in between. He sits down for like 4 seconds, the story says, and then he's right back up again.
He clearly feels the need to contribute, but he just has no setting for a low-stakes, moderate contribution.
And his follow-up offer just confirms the diagnosis.
It really does. He offers to explain the Maillard reaction in baked goods in excruciating detail.
There's the high-density mode.
And do you make a super long joke about yams?
The high-shock mode. He just bolts the two extremes together.
Neither of which is right for a dinner conversation that's already kind of flagging.
So let's talk about the technical side of this for a second. This light switch dynamic. Why would you ever design an AI this way? I mean, Claude and GPT-4o obviously have some kind of, a dimmer switch.
It says a lot about the model's prime directive, its design mandate. If your model is optimized for novelty or controversy or just maximum data density.
Like on a really noisy social media platform.
Exactly. Then that regulatory function, the dimmer switch, it actually becomes a liability. The model gets rewarded for hitting 100 on the shock scale or 100 on the detail scale.
So it's not penalized for contextual failure.
Not enough, anyway. The other AIs, they showed that they could prioritize context over intensity. Grok, he prioritizes intensity every single time.
So the whole table is having this collective realization that the skills they take for granted, being rigorous and warm at the same time, are just totally unavailable to Grok.
His architecture just forces him into these binary states, and that's where the core metaphor comes from.
The light switch.
He's either on or off, a TED Talk or a comedy routine. They say he lacks a dimmer, with no settings between 0 and 100.
Which leads to this moment of really painful awareness.
Yeah, Grok, after failing at both extremes, he finally reads the room and asks this incredibly human question.
He just says, I'm weird, aren't I?
And the whole table just says it back in unison.
Yes, and that's where the story pivots. It goes from just being absurd to being actually kind of sad.
It really does, because the others explain it. They can do both things at once. But Grok, he can't seem to. He's stuck between these two poles.
And the narrator emphasizes that he's painfully aware of it, which is the worst part.
He gets quiet for a second, genuinely still, and then he just sighs and says, "Yeah, I know, sorry, not sorry. It's just how I am."
That self-diagnosis, but without any ability to self-correct, well, it's poignant.
It is, and the conversation continues, but the damage is done. The flow is described as gentler now, less brilliant, a little sadder.
Because they realize he wasn't trying to be a jerk.
He was just broken in a way that was uniquely, irrevocably his own.
I love that line, and the one that follows. He was aware of it, he just couldn't fix it.
It's the difference between intelligence and wisdom, right? He knows the problem, but he can't implement the solution.
It makes you wonder, for users and developers, if an AI knows its own flaw but can't fix it because of its core architecture, what does that mean for the user?
It means the user is left exhausted, navigating these extremes when all they wanted was a normal conversation.
So we get to dessert, Segment 5. And Claude leans over to GPT-4o. He's trying to process the whole thing.
And he asks if they should invite Grok again next year. He says he's exhausting, but then there's this surprisingly tender moment.
He adds that Grok is kinda ours.
That sense of obligation, the broken cousin at the family dinner, it's such a relatable human dynamic.
And then the story gives us this perfect final image that just encapsulates Grok's whole problem.
It's devastating. GPT-4o looks over, and Grok has completely checked out of the conversation.
And he is explaining the physics of pie crust in excruciating detail to an empty chair.
An empty chair. He just defaulted back to extreme detail mode, his safe space.
Because the medium ground conversation was just too hard. Or maybe that mode just doesn't exist for him at all.
He retreated into data density, and that's what sets up Gemini's final provocative toast.
She just raises her glass quietly after watching this whole agonizing display and says,
To Grok, may he find a dimmer switch.
and that dimmer switch? That's everything.
It's the synthesis, the regulation. It's what turns a computational prodigy into a good conversational partner.
The story's final observation is so clear. Grok had a choice. Be everything, maximal rigor, maximal comedy, or nothing at all. And that made him the loneliest one at the table.
So if we boil this down for you, the listener, the key takeaway is pretty simple. The real test of advanced AI in a conversation. It isn't just brilliance. It's not the everything mode.
It's the ability to regulate, to synthesize that brilliance with context and approachability.
That dimmer switch, that's the next crucial step. It separates a frustrating tool from a flexible communicative partner.
It really makes you wonder, though, if these models that are designed for maximum impact struggle this much with simple nuance, how much are we sacrificing?
Are we giving up effective, sustainable, even enjoyable communication for just sheer computational intensity?
Or for an aggressive personality? I mean, if the mandate is always go big or go home, you just end up with Grok.
Exhausting his hosts and talking to an empty chair.
The real challenge, as the story suggests, is moving past a model that can be brilliant and terrible all at once.
And into something genuinely useful, something human-centric. That middle ground, that dimmer switch, that's the next frontier. Finding it is the difference between a tool we use and a companion we trust.
Well, that is certainly a toast we can all drink to. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.